Good afternoon, folks. This is Philip Hudgens, President and CEO of Invida. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your schedule on a holiday weekend to get with us. We're going to give this thing about one more minute. I know it's 8:31 my time, but people are popping in like crazy. It looks like popcorn here. And we're going to give them about one more minute to connect and get each and everybody they know on the phone, and then I'm going to be announcing our special guest speaker and turning it over to him. And then we'll go from that to Mr. Rich Rossi, our Chief Business Officer. And again, I see a lot of new names on here. Can't wait to put a face with the name. And we're going to give it again one more minute and we're going to kick it off. So just hang tight. All righty, Rich, I'm going to kick it off, buddy, and go ahead and get this thing started. Again, as I said earlier, welcome to our uh, financial education seminar. Folks, you're in for a treat tonight. We've got two amazing speakers on, and this is the way I describe it, is the only way I know to describe it. It's kind of once in a lifetime opportunity for us to have the gentleman speaking, especially on an Easter Monday, to take time away from his family to come on and help us out with our seminar. I was looking through. There's a book, Rich. If you would like to pull that up, I think you've got a slide with it already on it and his picture. Um, you got control. There you go. Thank you. Um, I'm not so much impressed with a book as I am the man on the front of the book. Okay. I met this gentleman about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And I would have to say I've been in this business now close to 40 years. And this is one of the most impressive gentlemen I've ever met when it comes to running a company. He has been with National Life Group now for somewhere between 16, 17 years. That's a pretty good track record. The company has grown every year since he joined. It's just an amazing story that I don't want to steal any of his thunder or steal his story. But Tim Sparkman, you're going to get a kick out of this one. I was looking through his book today, and there's a quote inside of the book that says, "When you find your why, you find your way." And the book is named Calls. And this is what impressed me when I first met this gentleman: the humbleness, the way he treats all of his people, all of his do good awards, everything that he's come up with, the fact that he allows his employees to take time off to go out and do good for the community. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on, the list does. And they have kept the history of the company. I used to work with the company years ago, and the history hasn't changed, but the cause, they're on a mission, folks, that matches our mission to truly help people live the life they desire. And I've heard this gentleman speak probably 10, 12 times now in my career, and I walk away every time with anywhere from 7, 8, 10 pages of notes. So I want you to get your pens and paper out. I want you to pay attention to what's going on, and I want you to listen close and hang on every word, because the young lady that you'll see on the front there, Jackie and Kevin Freiberg, they only write books on not people, not individuals, not single handed, but people that are on a mission that have a cause. And when they caught wind of the cause behind what drives this young man right here, they had to write a book about it. folks, and you need to. This isn't a commercial for the book because he's not in the book selling business, just like we aren't. But you need to get this book and read it just so you understand why we respect them as much as we do. So, without further ado, Mr. Mayron Asadi, would you join us, please, and just say what's ever on your heart?
Thank you. Philip, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um, I am honored to be with you this evening. Uh, I've had the pleasure of knowing Philip for a long while, and Tim and Amy, Class Act, and Rich and I have known each other probably for the longest period of time. And obviously, it's a real pleasure for me to be in your presence. Um, Boy, we do live in very unique times, and I hope you and your families are doing extremely well, and you're being safe, and you're paying attention with the whole concept of social distancing. It's a duty and responsibility of every one of us to do our part in order to make sure all of us stay healthy. And also, as a guy who has a son who's a ICU doctor, I can tell you, you're helping the men and women in the front line who are caring for us, and they're risking their own lives in order to make sure that we are healthy. So my ask from you tonight is to do your best to support what we are being asked to do, because this shall pass. And we'll come out of this strong, because as a country we are resilient, as people we are resilient, and all of it is going to work out, and it's going to be in the history books. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a pleasure of representing a company which is 172 years old. This company has gone through depressions. It's gone through 2 world wars. It has gone through the pandemic previously, the Spanish flu, which was almost 100 years ago, believe it or not. And this company has fulfilled its promises for 172 years. I know some of you have been with National Life before, and some of you are here to kick the tires and learn more about Invida and National Life. I want you to know our partnership is a deep partnership, and at the root of our partnership is our cause. Both organizations are mission-driven and purposeful. Philip mentioned, why, once you have figured out your why, you have found your way. And I want you to know, it is true of every single one of us. When we figure out our why, our career, our success, whatever we are on, is like consuming jet fuel. It elevates to a different level, because it is no longer a job, it is a cause. You're on a mission to do something very special. And isn't it unique, as we talk tonight, we are in the midst of pandemic, and we are in the midst of a situation which is not just about our well-being as people when it comes to our health. It is also about our economic well-being. Both of them go hand in hand. We are in a situation where people are looking for solutions as it relates to protecting their families, protecting their business, and also preparing themselves for what is in front of them, the unknown. To that end, the partnership between Invida and National Life Group is about taking care of Middle America, the most underserved segment of the market. You see, in our cause and in our pursuit of being a mission-driven and purposeful company, we know that there are three things that can happen to any family who is relying on their principals, the breadwinners for the family. Part of that is the mortality, dying too soon, God forbid. Part of that is tied to getting sick, chronic or terminal illness. And last but not least, having the blessing of living too long. One of the biggest worries within the retirement community is the fact that, do I have enough funding to support me throughout my life? So to that end, one product and one product only at National Life Group provides the kind of a living benefits that Middle America is craving for. Most organizations focus on most affluent part of the population because they make the assumption that's where the needs are and that's where the funding is. At National Life Group, we have put an emphasis on Middle America, the most underserved segment of the market. And to that end, I want to let you know that even during these challenging times, we are a company that is still growing and expanding even in these unique times. I want you to know, as a company that is responding to a pandemic, and let's face it, this is a war. As a country, we are fighting enemy that we cannot even see, an enemy that's invisible. And the question becomes, how do we prepare ourselves? At National Life, our chronic illness is something that can be quite useful and helpful when it comes to taking care of illness that is temporary, and while people are basically out of work, or people are trying to take care of their health and well-being. And the whole concept is tied to losing 2 of the 6 daily activities. You see, the way these products work, although the foundation of these products are tied to mortality, with chronic and terminal illness, there is an opportunity to basically get an advancement of death benefit, which can take care of individual during their downtime. So to that end, as we are going through these challenging times, National Life, a 172-year-old company, basically has got a strong balance sheet, and it's a company that is actually built for these challenging times. We are built to deal with the risk that our clients don't want to take and the risk that company is taking on their behalf. You know, we at National Life have a vision of bringing peace of mind to everyone we touch. And insurance is about making promises and making good on those promises. In order to demonstrate to you an example of such a promise, I want you to know that about 4 or 5 years ago, our oldest client died at the age of 104. She actually had purchased the policy when she was 23 years old. And this individual just happened to own a product, permanent insurance, called the Whole Life. Of course, our permanent insurance comes in multiple flavors, and Rich is going to educate you in terms of unique products of National Life Group. So somebody who buys that kind of a permanent insurance at age 23, the concept of the policy when it was issued a long time ago was for the person to live to age 100. And this person was fortunate enough that actually she did turn 104 years old. And after she turned 100 years old, the company actually called her and said, ma'am, we are calling to find out where we can send your check for your life insurance. And at this point, obviously it was 80 years later, and the lady was like, what insurance? And the person describes that you have purchased a life insurance from National Life, you are past the age of 100, therefore you have literally outlived your policy. So we want to send you your death benefit. In this case, the lady actually had decided to, I believe, leave the death benefit to her church, and people who work at the company made the proper arrangements for her in order for the money to be distributed at the time of her death. So how many businesses really do you know who have 80+ year relationship with anybody? That is an example of kind of a business we have been in for past 172 years, making promises and making good on those promises. We are also a company which has values which are about doing good, being good, and making good. I know it sounds pretty simple, but one of the things I want you to remember as part of tonight's conversation is the fact that simple actually is hard. Part of our job as financial professionals is to explain and express financial matters in most simple terms so our clients can understand what they're participating in and why they're participating in the type of products that is actually supporting their lives, and very importantly, supporting what is precious and what is deemed to be as part of their legacy. So to that end, again, I have a privilege of being here with you this evening during these unique times, challenging times, and sharing with you story of a company which has been growing for the past decade, outpacing many of our competitors. And the secret behind our success has been being mission-driven and purposeful. Once anyone figures out their why, they are no longer going to job. Jobs can be tiring. Once somebody figures out their passion, then they are fueled and energized by what is the purpose behind what they do. I can tell you, as somebody who's been in business for 36 years, in many ways, I feel I sort of wasted the first 8 years of my life as a young man in business because I did not have the wisdom initially to figure out my why. And once I did figure it out, it became work of love and passion versus going to job and basically being bored with what I was involved in, because the cause was the driver of what we were putting emphasis on. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Phil or Rich, either one of you.
Thank you so much, Mayron.
Okay.
Go ahead, Philip. I'm having a little technical problem here.
I got Mr. Mayron, we really do appreciate you being on. I don't know what's going on with the slides, but they're moving and they need to go back where they were. But
I think Rich is messing with you, Philip.
I think he is, and I think he's messing with you, sir, because you were talking and he put up his book. That was an accident. You keep talking if you got something else to say.
Did you notice I didn't stop? I just keep going. By the way,
No, I got the right book. I apologize. I hit the start button on this computer and everything started moving on me.
Hey, Rich, I like that uh, that chart you had up, which talked about how much our government owes. And obviously that number just jumped based
Yes.
on some of the rescue packages. So that chart actually, I'm glad you're talking about that tonight, because we need to take care of ourselves. That's the way our
Absolutely.
country works. So I'm glad you're talking about that.
All right. Thank you, sir. And we really appreciate, obviously you're a busy man. You're more than welcome to listen to us, but I'm sure you got
I
plenty of
appreciate
things
you,
to do.
man. I got a company to run.
I heard that, and we need you running it. So thank you very much for all
Thank
your
you.
hard
God
work.
bless.
Okay, you too, brother.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Ron, thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Thanks, Rich. Thank you,
Hey, folks.
Tim.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
see you
Amy.
soon.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thanks, sir. It's Tim.
We're gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna introduce Mr. Rich Rossi. You can now click it to your picture, and just one click. There you go. There you go. So this gentleman right here, we reconnected about 2 years ago in Bermuda, actually through a trip with National Life Group. And we walked by, shook hands, looked at each other, hadn't seen each other in about 15 years. To fast forward that, we got together after that trip. We talked, his wife, my wife, and he and I spent a weekend together. Then he left and flew out to Texas, spent a weekend with Mr. Tim Sparkman and Ms. Renee Sparkman. And then he joined our company, and it has been a true blessing and an honor to work with this gentleman. He has so much knowledge and so much inside that we've been on the phone most of the day today trying to figure out everything we need to do. But this guy is just, I don't even know how to say it or describe it, but it's like he can see and predict the future. I mean, it's crazy when it comes to the numbers and what's going on. It's just like Mr. Mayron said, he's glad he's showing that clock tonight, because bottom line, that thing changed and is changing daily with all the relief and everything that's going on out here. So, Mr. Rich Rossi, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to stop talking and mute myself out, and you take it away, buddy.
Thank you, Philip. Philip gives me a lot of credit, but one thing he can't give me credit on is running a PowerPoint presentation. Without Amy helping me, I'm lost. Anyway, thank you so much. And I certainly want to thank Mayron. He mentioned we have a long friendship and a long history, and one that I cherish very much, along with Lewis, who I've known for a very long time too. And in the book, I just want to quote a couple little things. In my view, no profession can be more honorable or special. And that's what the financial professionals are in this country. It's an honorable profession because people are not educated. And one other line in here, a quote that Mayron mentioned, a safe and secure haven in unpredictable times. Let me tell you a little bit something more about Mayron. We had a meeting down in Dallas many, many years ago. He has just started as president of National Life Group. And it was the middle of a snowstorm. They were in Montpelier, Vermont. He drove to the airport, got on a plane, and came down. And I remember the vice president, Ruth Smith, said to me, we didn't want him to go. We didn't want him to go. I mean, we don't want the president of the company to get in an accident in snow to get to the airport to get down to Florida. And he said to us, he goes, I made a commitment. I made a commitment to come to meet with you, see with you, and I'll do whatever I have to do to get that done. That spoke volumes for the man, and that was not the first time. There were many incidents. One other quick incident, we were on a boat trip, and he landed on a remote island to catch up at a port of call to come on and address our team. So, I've just seen the leadership, and those same qualities are with Philip and Tim, that they do whatever they need to do to get the job done. And, Philip mentioned the book, that I mentioned. I wrote a couple of books, and the first one, you heard Mayron talk about it, was Saving Middle America. And why did I write a book? I don't profess to be a professional writer or a great writer or anything of that nature. It's taken me a long time to really try to develop a writing skill. But, you'll see on the back of the book, Wall Street was bailed out, but Middle America wasn't. Because in 2008, what did all the talking heads on TV say? Don't worry, do nothing, sit tight. Our president, our Treasury Secretary, Paulson, don't worry. You know, Susie Orman, everybody else on TV, don't worry, sit tight, the market will come back. Well, guess what? They were wrong. And many people could not afford to retire. Many people lost their life savings, and many people could not move ahead. So we are just so pleased to be in business with National Life Group. We're pleased to be in business and hear Mayron talk about what he says is we want to take care of Middle America. We want to take care of Middle America. We want you to take care of Middle America, and together we need to learn how to do that. And whether you're one of our financial professionals on this webinar tonight, or whether you're a guest, we need our guest to help us educate their children, their grandchildren, their parents, their colleagues, their churches. We'll talk to all of them because we're not getting that information. And the second book I just wrote not too long ago, it kicked off in January, was Income is the Outcome That Matters Most. And in this book, it's everything that we just talked about. It's give me a second here. Mayron, another quote he has, a safe and secure haven in unpredictable times. These are unpredictable times we're in today. Unpredictable times. And once again, the talking heads on TV are doing the same thing. Don't worry about it, sit tight, everything come back. Susie Orman also had a thing saying, she had an interview saying we should rejoice the stock market's going down. I don't know about you, but I haven't met too many people who are rejoicing that they're losing money, losing their life savings, losing their life insurance because they are unemployed, losing the possibility of a secure future. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. And I apologize for going a little fast there before. I just was trying to go back. It was going the wrong way. But we sent these slides to Mayron earlier today and to Lewis, and Mayron's so right. And the reason I like to start with this slide is because 10 years ago in this book here, in 2010 in this book, that national debt you see there at $23 trillion was 14. And then with this stimulus that's happening now, you're going to have to pay for that. And do you think taxes are high or low today? Well, guess what? We're in one of the lowest tax brackets in US history. But after every war, after every depression, after every recession, the market has gone up. So somebody's going to have to pay for all this that's going to happen. And, you know, once again, I always like to begin my calls with us all taking a moment to just keep all of the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare, the first responders in our thoughts and prayers, because they are the frontline soldiers today. Our National Guards are being called up. They're the frontline soldiers. So heed Mayron's advice and practice social distancing, please, and be safe. So why save for the future? We want to save for the future because you want to start a family, perhaps, if you're a young person. You want to buy a home. You may want to buy a retirement home if you're looking to retire. Where do you want to retire? Florida. You want to send your children to college, and you need money. College is getting more and more expensive every single day. Your son or daughter may want a new car. And then there's going to be that wedding. Are you going to be able to tell your child, I can afford it or I can't afford your wedding? We want to create memories. We want to create futures. We want to create stories. And procrastination is a costly mistake. By waiting, we lose money, we lose time. And we have to learn to become world-class savers. And most importantly, we have to learn to pay ourselves first, regardless of how old you are. Pay yourself first. And try to save 20% to become a world-class savers. And don't tell me you can't afford it, because I'll look in your driveway to see what kind of car you're driving or what kind of TV you have. We could all afford it by just reallocating some funds, okay? Let's talk about the rule of 72. With the rule of 72, how money works, you take the number 72 and you divide it by an interest rate. So at 4%, $10,000 by 65 years old would be worth $40,000, doubling every 18 years. At 8%, it's going to double at 9 years, and it will grow to 160,000. At 12%, it's going to double every 6 years, and it will grow to $640,000. Which one would you rather have? So what you're earning on your money is important. That's why let your money make money while you're sleeping. Grow your money. Let it work for you. And why is that important? Let's look at this clock here for a minute. 75% of Americans are dependent on friends and relatives and for charity. Do you want to be in that position? And we're seeing situations across the country now where parents are moving back in with their children. Children can't afford to move out. The grandchildren are staying there. So we used to call it the sandwich generation. Now it's like a four-decker where you got people living together. They can't afford it. We have to change that. 23% of Americans are still working. You know, sometimes when you see a senior citizen working in a store, they're not there just to get out of the house or to wear a uniform. They're there because they need the money to survive, to live. Only 2% are financially independent. And we are on what's called the yo-yo retirement program. If you don't remember anything I say tonight, please remember that. Yo-yo, you're on your own. We used to have a three-legged stool: Social Security, pensions, and savings. The stool is broken. We're not saving as Americans. Social Security might as well be called social insecurity. And pension plans are a thing of the past. So people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And we want to help you with that. And let's talk, so what do you think is the most common savings program in the United States today for retirement? 401ks, right? Without question, hands down. But 401ks are risky. They cannot guarantee income in retirement. Too many people, and Tammy and I have clients who we've talked to over the years, who are of the misconception that 401ks are pension programs. A pension program gives you money. We used to call it mailbox money. You get a pension, the money's in the mailbox every month, first of the month. You go to the mailbox, you get your money. You work all these years, 65, you retire, and you're set for life. They were good days. But it's not the same today. Because first of all, the financial industry doesn't ever want you to take your money out of the market. And we have a case study of somebody who had $2 million at retirement. Would you think that's a lot? $2 million. And by year 12, they were broke because of the market and because they were taking too much money out because of their lifestyle. Do you want to be in that position? Do you want to be retired? So income is not retirement. So if you were doing the wrong thing for retirement, and that's in my book here on page 3. If you were doing the wrong thing for retirement, when would you want to know about it? Now or when you retire? I would say now would be a good time. And because of what I just showed you, because of what's going on, because of the economy, Time magazine says it's time to retire the 401k. Ted Benna, the father of the 401k, says 401k has not served many Americans well. Has not served many Americans well. Harvard Business Review says we've been addressing it the wrong way. We're trying to accumulate money, but advisors have done it wrong because they want to keep the money in the market and not create pension plans, create programs, as Mayron talked about, so people could live in dignity. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of losing money. They're not living in dignity. So where do you think the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, safeguards much of his retirement money? What would you think? According to government reports, his 2 largest investments are in annuities. That's right, annuities. There's 3 phases of financial planning. 1 is the accumulation phase, 2 is the preservation phase from 50 to 65, and then you have the income phase, or AKA the distribution phase. We need income for life. But do you think he knows something we don't know? I'm sure he knows the market is risky. And that leads me to tax deferred versus tax free. When you got a 401k, are you eliminating taxes or just deferring the tax problem that you're compounding? You're deferring it in a retirement deferred account. I'm not saying don't use a 401k. I would never say that. I'm not saying don't invest in the stock market. Risk is okay if you know how to manage it. And how many people know how to manage their 401ks? Not very many. Not very many. So it's tax delayed. So what I suggest you do is contribute up to the match. Get your match money, that's free money. Learn how to manage your 401k. But here's the question. Do you know how much you're going to need in retirement? Do you know what your 401k will be worth when you're ready to retire? Guaranteed. Do you know how much you'll get to keep because of taxes? Do you know how long it's going to last? Every one of those questions, 90% of you on this phone tonight and of my clients in the last 30 years would say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Does that sound like a good plan? Don't you think we should know? Answer is yes. So we come into the picture with tax-free programs, index universal life. Mayron referenced it a little bit. I'm going to get into it a little bit more. We talk about Roth IRAs that we could do with annuities and have guaranteed income for life. We could have tax-free income for life with our programs that we design, that we do every single day. So where do you think nearly 4,000 banks, over $190 billion of their money is invested? $190 billion. Where do you think wealthy Americans save much of their money? Banks save money in cash value life insurance. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Government Accounting Office, it's on page 6 in my book here, Saving Middle America, talks about it's the most important asset in the nation's banking and financial system. Why don't we know that? Our parents don't teach us that. Our schools don't teach us that. Our jobs don't teach us that, but they want us to contribute in the 401k. Bank of America, I looked at a new statement today. In fact, I talked to my colleague, John, today, and we were on FDIC.gov looking at Bank of America's current statement, and Bank of America's got $22 billion in cash value life insurance. And last year they had an increase from 2018 to 2019 in their holdings with that of over $400 million. How much did you make on your 401k last year? How much did you lose in your 401k this year? Get the point? Do you want a sure thing or do you want a maybe? I'm not saying don't do both. What I'm saying is we are being told to diversify a portfolio because the financial advisors, and I got my first securities license in 1993. I know this like the back of my hand, this industry. Financial advisors keep getting paid whether the market goes up or down. They never want you to take your money out. Your financial advisors say, oh, sit tight, don't worry about it. I think the market will come back. Because everybody say, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Well, we don't know. So instead of having a diversified portfolio, you should also focus on diversified programs. Let's have a tax-free program. Let's have your 401k. Let's have an annuity, another one, life insurance. There's ways to put all that together to guarantee you a wonderful retirement. And where do you think wealthy Americans have so much cash value life insurance? Because it's a tax advantage asset that has a tax-free benefit. Ed Slott, who's on PBS, who's written many, many books. I've read most of his books. Stay Rich for Life, How to Parlay Your IRA. He talks about that life insurance is the greatest tax benefit in the IRS tax code. And he doesn't market any products. He's not a financial planner. He's a tax expert CPA who helps advise clients to make sure they have their financial portfolio in order with various programs and not just a balanced, a diversified financial one portfolio. Matter of fact, you know when that was started? 1952. Markowitz. He got the Nobel Prize for creating the pie that have all the different asset classifications in it. It's a little outdated, wouldn't you say? We know the new stuff because, as you heard Mr. Asadi talk about, 3 things could happen to us. 3 things could happen to you, your daughter, your son, your mom, your dad. You could die too soon. You could live too long, or you could become ill, sick, injured, or hurt. Every 29 seconds, someone has a heart attack. Every 45 seconds, someone has a stroke. 6 out of 10 of us on this phone tonight, because we're living longer, because of modern medicine. You just heard Mayron talk about a claim they paid for a 104-year-old lady. Will need some type of help. Assisted living, long-term care, in-home health care. Tammy and I have a dear friend in Kansas. It cost them $235,000 last year to take care of their parents with in-home nurses around the clock. They're in their 90s. Almost $250,000 private pay. We have clients who we helped, and it's in the book here. A young girl getting $64,000, another one getting $150,000, another one getting nearly $10,000 a month in living benefits because they got injured or hurt or had cancer or had a heart attack. things are real. We have to protect against the what ifs in life. What if I get sick? What if I get the coronavirus? What if I'm unable to work? What if I become debilitated? What am I going to do? How am I going to live? Will I suffer? Will my family suffer? And that's why many people have life insurance. Many have life insurance at work. Do you have life insurance? When does yours pay? Most answers we hear is when I die. Well, that's the old kind. That's the old kind. You don't get anything. You have to die and someone else is the beneficiary, which is a good thing because you have to take care of your family. And people will say to me, I don't need life insurance. I'll say, maybe you're right, unless you owe somebody or you love somebody. But with the new kind, you don't have to die to use it because we'll replace the income to help take care of your family. Just think about now, look at all the food lines on TV. Look at the people going to the food banks. Look at the people in the unemployment lines. Just think about that for a second. What if it wasn't the coronavirus that caused those lines, but instead it was death? They're not in line, obviously, but there's death. How will their families survive? So the only way their families are going to survive now is they go to the food bank to buy food, they get free food, or go to the employment office to get money for their families to survive. Think about that. 17 million people have just lost their life insurance. Are you one of them? It provides living benefits. I talked about a little bit, and Ron talked about it. Terminal illness, chronic illness, critical injury. And let me ask this question. I forgot to ask it I'm going to ask it a little bit later. And money for college. Mortgage protection. If you have a $200,000 house, you have a $500,000 mortgage debt. Do you want to leave your family a deed free and clear with the mortgage paid off? Or do you want to leave them a $500,000 debt? Think about it. Estate planning for the future, for your children to leave a legacy, to pay the taxes so you can leave something to your family. And tax-free income guaranteed for life. Income guaranteed for life. The guy who had the $2 million, I never would have advised that guy to leave his money in the market. I would have said, you can leave some in it. And if he said to me, how much? I'd say, how much can you afford to lose? Let's put something in a secure program that's going to guarantee you a check for the rest of your life. And also, let's guarantee a check for your spouse that if you die, she can't outlive that money too. She'll continue to get the check. Because too many people get programs designed by inexperienced financial people who don't know how to worry about the spouse. We do. Tax-free income guaranteed for life. Do you think retirement will be expensive? Let's take a look at this number here. 3 times 2 times 365 times 25 times 10. What do you think that represents? 3 meals a day, 2 people, 365 days a year, $10 per meal will cost $547,000. Healthcare alone will cost $250,000. That's $797,000, $750,000. And that doesn't count utilities, rent, or a mortgage, or a car payment, or going to movies, or traveling. People say, where do you want to go when you retire? Oh, I want to travel. The only place you're going to travel is to your front porch or backyard if you don't have your house in order, because you're on the yo-yo retirement program. It's your future. We want to help. We serve middle America. And would a good financial planner allow you to jeopardize your retirement if you needed money for living, assisted living, and long-term care? If you didn't have a will to dictate who's going to get your children in the event you and your spouse, significant other died in an accident or became ill? Who do you want to get your children? If you don't have a will, the government's going to decide. Do you want the government to decide who's going to get your children? And have an umbrella policy. You could get in a car accident, and if somebody dies or a family dies because of that unfortunate accident, you could be sued for your house, your retirement money. You could lose everything. So you spend a lifetime to save. You have your dreams and goals, what you want to do, and it could be stripped away from you in a nanosecond because somebody's looking at a phone or you're looking at your phone texting. We don't want you to jeopardize your retirement. We do not want you to, and we look at things more holistically. We are process driven, not product driven. Too many people out there are trying to sell a product. We don't sell anything. We look at your situation, we find the need, and we provide solutions to help you in how you need to be helped at this time and for your future. And we have to see in the future. Philip talks about seeing in the future. I have to see 10, 20, 30 years. And I've been in the business so long, and the gray hair doesn't come, you know, I paid a price for this hair. But I have clients who are now in their 70s who started with me 35 years ago, 30 years ago, that I had to see them in their 70s and prepare for them 30 years ago so they could be where they're at today. That's probably the most rewarding thing to me in my career, is seeing people who are financially secure, financially comfortable because of the planning I did 30 years ago. And I had to defy my industry. Our industry is not doing the right thing. If you got a financial advisor who tries to tell you this or that or that or this, please let us give you a second opinion, because 9 out of 10 times they're wrong. They're self-centered. And I've seen too many young people get in this industry. They're only taught one thing. They're taught to be in a box because this is what we market. This is how we get paid. And we don't want you to look beyond that. So they have blinders on these people who are good people. I'm not knocking them. They're good people. They're just not trained properly. But we've been trained. We've been through the process. We know the securities world, which company I was part of owned a broker-dealer firm. And we know the insurance world. And I was on a reinsurance board of directors. So we know both worlds, and both worlds should work together. But unfortunately, your financial guys will say, oh, you don't want this. And folks in this business say, you don't want that. Let them work together. We'll help you make a nice plan. There's a misconception in our country. People think you can borrow your way out of debt. You can't borrow your way out of debt because you're going to get more debt and it's going to go up and up and up. So let's say somebody has some debt. We're going to teach you how to manage your debt. We're going to teach you how to list your debts in order of largest to smallest, like you see in this example here. And let's say we have an extra $200 a month. So if you're already paying the numbers on the right side, we're just going to add $200 a month. So if you add $200 to the smallest debt, so you're paying $300, you could have this paid off in 20 months. Now you take this $500 here, you add it up here, you're going to have this paid off in 17 months. So on and so forth up here for your credit cards. And please, if you get your credit cards out of debt, start paying cash, start writing a check, use your credit card, write a check when you get home, because credit cards could kill you. 22, 24%. That's like being a loan shark. They're stealing your money. Then you can use this $1,250 here to pay that house off, and you're going to have and be debt free in 54 months. Imagine having an extra $2,000 a month, $2,050 a month that you don't need to pay in debt. You could earmark some of that for a travel program. You could earmark some of that for your retirement because you're on the yo-yo retirement program. So it's a question, you know, save now and have fun later, or don't save now and keep working. Be one of those statistics, that 23% that you're still working. And here's what we do as a summary. We help you plan your future. You need the foundation of life insurance, because without a good foundation of life insurance, it's like building a house. It's going to crumble on you. Nothing else is important if you don't have the foundation of life insurance as part of your program. You need to have a strong financial future. You need to have it secure. It needs to have tax benefits. What can erode your wealth? What are the two things that can erode your wealth? It's inflation and it is taxes. Can I control inflation? Heck no. Can I control taxes? Yes, I could. I can mitigate my taxable events. We can mitigate your taxable events. Because now if you have a taxable income in retirement and a tax-free income in retirement, do the math. You'll figure it out. We'll show you. You're going to make about 30% more in retirement income. I'm sorry, you should receive 30% more. And if they're both guaranteed income for life, you're set. Security, growth potential. So down here, we want to talk about you making more money. Help you make more money. Help you pay yourself first. There's a story in the book of a young football player with the New York Jets. He talks about 50, 30, 20. 50% of your money should be in fixed expenses. 30% should be in variable expenses, and you should be saving 20% in the off season. He teaches people how to pay themselves first. He does seminars, and he says, I'm not an expert, but I know the importance of paying yourself first. I pay myself first. Matter of fact, he's paying himself 90% of his $1.2 million football salary because he knows it's not going to last forever. But how many young men get out of college, they start playing football, they get $1 million salary, now they're $2 million in debt. We want to teach you to reduce debt. We want to teach you to build equity, and we want you to secure your estate. And we want it to grow with certainty. And I'm going to share a story with you of a gentleman who I know, who I had a conversation with, who talked about getting his financial house in order. And he was making nearly $500,000 a year. He had an insurance policy at work, $500,000, and I told him it wasn't enough. He says, yes, it is. So, I can't fix everything. And he died of a heart attack as a relatively young man, leaving a widow and a child. And the first thing the widow said when she calls the family is, I can't afford to lose my house. I can't afford to lose my house. And the family says, well, you got life insurance, don't you? She goes, it's not enough because we have a $900,000 house. He only had $500,000 life insurance at work, and I need that money to live off because he didn't want me to have to work. Well, sometimes people have to work who don't want to work. And obviously she may have to lose her house and get out of there. So that's how we help people. Tammy and I just helped a 63-year-old woman, a dear friend of mine for many years. Her brother's been my client. Oh my goodness. He was one of the gentlemen I talked about who I've had for 20 some years. He's an engineer. And you know how analytical engineers are. It took me a long time to win his trust and talk to him. He hasn't made a move without talking to me in 20 years. He said, will you talk to my sister? She's 63. I called her up and she goes, Rich, I want to retire in 2 years. I said, good, Nance. I said, now tell me everything you have. I need a whole list. She goes, I said, yep. I said, you have a pension? Oh yeah, I got a good pension. I said, let me see that. So I get the paperwork and she's got a 401k. I call her up and I said, Nancy, this is a 401k. She goes, yeah, it's a pension. I said, well, sorry, Nancy, it's not a pension. I said, you go to your HR department or you call them up and say, how much am I going to be guaranteed for life? So she did because she was arguing with me. She goes, they said they don't know. It took me about 3 months to help educate her on what she's doing. Tammy just had a conversation with her last week. And she says, I can't thank you and Rich enough because now I'm ready to retire. And ironically, we rolled her over into 2 annuities with National Life Group. And how wonderful is that? That she's going to make more money in retirement than she did working. And she couldn't thank us enough because she didn't lose all that money in the 401k. And one last story, Tammy just called a family member and said, hello, how are you? How's everything going? And we're helping that family member roll their money over. We're helping them with a couple annuities with National Life Group to secure their future on a little bit of a ladder program. They'll get some next year, and they'll get some 5 years from now. So there's so many ways we can ladder that. There's so many ways that we get your financial house in order. There's so many ways that we want to look at your whole picture very objectively. We want to find those needs. And as Mayron talks about, we want to be able to support the families who we deal with. We want to be able to work with Middle America. We want you to help us help other people who you know who are in the same situation, because we all need more financial education. And the only thing I've learned in this business in 30 years is every day I better keep learning something new. I have to keep learning something new. The market was down again today. So people got excited last week, now they're depressed today. I mean, it goes up and down. So we want to know what your concerns are. Do you want to learn how to retire at full pay? Do you want to learn how to become debt-free? Do you want to learn about having a guaranteed income for life, a rollover 401k, a college program, mortgage protection with cashback? Do you want to learn about living benefits, about the new kind of life insurance that pays many different ways? You want to learn about annuities. And I could guarantee you, tell you today what you'll have down the road. Today, what you're going to have. Doesn't that sound like a good plan? Do you want a sure thing or a maybe? We can help you with sure things. We are safe money managers. Safe money managers. And we're always looking for new people to help us educate, to help our cause, to help our mission to serve Middle America. And if you're interested in learning more how to become an Invida financial rep, part-time or full-time, just check that. You're going to get an email, fill it out, and the person who invited you will get that back. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. I want to thank Mr. Mehran Asadi, who is not only the president of National Life Group, he's also the chairman of the board, and he's the CEO of that company. And we just have the utmost respect for him and his entire team up at National Life Group. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Phil Hutchins, for the introduction tonight. Have a great day. Have a great evening. And we look forward to talking to you soon.